On today's show, we will discuss the unconventional wisdom of hiring. Are you hiring builders, improvers, or maintainers? I'm Devin Herz. Welcome to this week's DMC Marketing Nugget.
Get ready for insider secrets and tactics from successful business owners and industry titans. Welcome your host with the most, marketing master, best-selling author, CEO of DMC and Print-O-Vision, the guy that wants your business to thrive, Devin Herz.
Today's guest is extremely passionate about helping startup founders win the strongest hires to fuel unprecedented company growth. He is the author of Healing Career Wounds. He invented and systematized the hiring operating system called HireOS. When not running a school for gifted mutants as Professor X, Rick hosts the Hire Power radio show and podcast, which is a weekly series on LinkedIn Live, which serves as a business leader's resource to solve their most difficult hiring challenges. Welcome, founder and CEO of Stride Search, Inc., Rick Girard. Welcome.
Devin, thanks for having me, brother. How you doing?
Doing great today. Excited to hear from you. I know from my research that you enjoy some extreme sports, and I would say as a business owner and business owners that I know, hiring can also be called an extreme sport. So how did you get into the hiring industry, and what made you get started on this focus?
Oh man, I took a different turn out of art school. I was inspiring to be like a Playboy photographer when I was younger, and decided that the whole starving artist thing wasn't really for me. And so essentially what ended up happening was I got recruited to become a recruiter because I knew a guy who was doing really well. And I actually fell into my calling, I guess. It was one of those things where I started and I hated it. It was like the worst job ever for probably the first 6 months because it was really, really hard. And then I got good at it and started loving it.
That's interesting there. You hated something and then learned to love it. And then you went ahead and created a system called HireOS, which is the hiring operating system. What exactly does that mean?
So, one of the things that I found throughout my tenure as a executive search professional is that, when I could produce great people for companies, but once I brought that person in for an interview, a lot of times the executives or the people interviewing didn't really know, number one, how to interview or how to evaluate people in such a way that would ensure that person would be successful at their company. Every company is unique. Every company is different. So, I started kind of thinking about, hey, look at, what are the core things that make somebody successful within an organization? And when you really drill down to it, it's whether or not somebody aligns with the values of the company. Now, most companies, some companies have their values and that are aspirational. Some companies just have values that they live by. And then most companies don't really even have values. But they actually do have values. They just don't put them out there, right? So those are the ones that end up getting into trouble. So yeah, I really started thinking about, okay, as we're how do we bring more value to our customers when they hire us to complete a search for them? And I found the best way was to also bring process into play. So when we get hired, we say, okay, look at, we're happy to help you with this search, but you need to plug in our interview process. And we're going to teach you how to perfect it so that you have evidence to support whether or not this person is going to be successful at your organization. Okay. And we've been running that for a while now, and it's been super successful. And so, so now we're kind of building that and taking that to the next level. So it's like we can scale it for every small organization.
That's wonderful. I think processes, systems, I know from our side, everyone wants the marketing and focusing on bringing in new clients, and the new stuff is the fun stuff. But at the same time, it's so important to make sure your team is on point. The hiring process is on point. I know through the years that you've been doing this, that you have some solid results from your HireOS system. Would you be kind enough to share some of those with us?
Yeah, totally. So, it's taken us a while to kind of evolve this, but as we've been building it out, we've taught it to companies. And what ended up happening was we were successful with a hire at the executive level. And then the executives came back to us and said, "Hey, can you help us put this into our company?" So we've taught it now to quite a few organizations, and they're all kind of small organizations that are pretty nimble. We put the process in place. We've got quite a few companies that are operating at a 90% success rate plus, right? We've got one company that hasn't made a bad hire in 5 years, and they've scaled from about 50 people to over 500.
Wow.
And they have this process in place, and they're in a highly competitive environment. They've built such a solid reputation by having this, that and by having a really strong values-based culture as well. But the rigor that they put into the interview process carries through, and so they've got people who stick around. They've got tenure, and they've got a line of people out the door that are just beating on the door trying to get in, which is are all great problems to have, especially in a market where it's super, super tight for talent right now.
Absolutely.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, when you have that little extra added value that you're providing to people above, just the transactional component, that's a huge attractor. And so that was kind of the benefit of what they've been doing.
Wonderful. And putting that process into place, can you give us an example of maybe some of the problems that people are experiencing? We always love to cover the problems and then how you went about solving those for them. So just what that process may look like for another business that would be looking to hire you.
Yeah, I mean, I see the two main problems as being, number one, the mishires, right? So meaning, you've identified people, you bring them in, you make people offers, and they turn down your offer. Like, there's a lot of people out there kind of shopping offers right now. They're trying to get, they're focused in mainly on the money. And so what ends up happening is that if you're playing that same transactional game, then you're putting yourself in a position where at the end of the day, somebody with a bigger wallet is going to win. So again, those misses in being able to hire somebody who effectively can come in and build the business for you are really tailored back to, in your interview process, you weren't able to connect the dots for them as to how your organization provides value above and beyond just the paycheck, right?
Right.
The second problem is mishires and like bad hires, right? So what ends up happening a lot of times is you make 3 or 4 offers to somebody, and to people, they turn down your offer, and then you end up settling for somebody who's a complete mismatch just because you feel that desperation that you need somebody in the seat to do the work. And that's doubly is dangerous, right? Because as we all know, there's a lot of data out there that supports that hiring the wrong person can cost the company a lot of money. But like, I've seen hiring the wrong person actually destroy companies, where it runs out your top performers, and then the next thing you're left with an underperforming company that and then you end up pulling out all your hair like me, and you're bald.
Mine's just going gray. So the hair's still growing, but it's turning gray for me. But yeah, I would say it is so crucial. And, this is the marketing nugget. And I think people forget too that the marketing starts internally. It starts between the 4 walls. We call that the internal marketing plan. So all of what you're talking about really sets them up for a greater success rate on the staff that they have, the team they have, which in turn is going to help their overall business, because they're going to have a team that's supportive, that are go-getters, and really just supply your clients and your internal team a great experience. So for startup companies to plan and implement a hiring operated system from the start, why is that so important?
Well, you know what? So it's kind of interesting. Like, you mentioned marketing. I mean, if you treat it, the way people treat hiring is totally different than every other business unit, right? Like the practices that we put into place are not there. Like if you just look at a job description, right? The people or a job advertisement that people put out. What's interesting to me is that if you put out a piece of marketing material that looked like that, you would get fired for putting out that crap. I mean, it's like, and most people just copy and paste the job description that's similar. It doesn't attract people. It's just kind of a list of buzzwords and wants, and then backed with all the perks that you provide, right? So it's just a transactional document that really, who's it? You have to ask yourself, like, who is it attracting? Is it attracting the top performers that you really need in your organization, or is it just attracting anybody who sends the resume?
Sure.
That's a big time suck. The concept of, we need to get 100 resumes to hire one person and talk to 50 people. Man, that's such a waste of time. To me, you just need to get to the one or two people that are going to thrive in your organization and bring them through the process, because then you've got an effective and efficient process that essentially puts you in a position where, like, you're set up to succeed. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but like, yeah, I mean, just having a function, similar to marketing, just that mentality would set you up for success right there.
Yeah, I think it's going to eliminate stress for the business owners or the people responsible for hiring as well, right? When you have a plan, you have a system in place, you know how that's going to work, right? Hopefully the end result is a positive one. It sounds like when they implement your system, the positives definitely outweigh the negatives. For my own knowledge, and I guess for our audience as well here, what does it look like, hiring? Is it you? Is it a team? Do you come in first to build out the plan? Are you with the business you're working with for long term, or is it more just set the system up and then they go through the system? So if you can explain that a little bit more on just how your system works, I think that would be great.
Yeah, totally. So, it's a structure and a methodology.
Okay.
So, there are methodologies out there that don't have structure. I mean, you want to bring somebody through a process in which that's going to attract them, right? So, for example, you want to have a fully timed process that's like structured, that enables, like, it gives somebody the impression, even if you're not, that you are a well-run organization, right?
Right.
You also want to be cognizant of your team, like your team members' time. You want to keep your people who are producing. You don't want to have them interviewing all the time. So, so it's the structure piece, and then the methodology is basically taking what a normal interview process is and flipping it upside down. Because what a normal interview process tends to be is that, you get a resume, you spend about 5 minutes on a phone call with the person, just trying to get them to come in for an interview. And then you spend all the time on the back end trying to get them to join. Where you run into problems with that is that you haven't really built any sort of understanding of who that person is. You're trying to do that at the back end of the process. And now you've already established that you have a very transactional process. So now you've got to backtrack and try and connect the dots for that person, that you're the best organization for them to join. So essentially, we put all the work on the front end of the process. That phone screen, or what we call a discovery call, is really the most important piece of the recruiting process. And what that does is it establishes whether or not somebody's positioned well for your organization, but it also helps you to understand what's important to that person, so that you can be honest and say, okay, here's where we fit, here's where we don't, and here's like where we can provide what you desire out of your career that you're not getting in your current role. When you're showing that value to an individual who like you really need to join your company, then it becomes less of a transaction and more of, hey, look, I can see how this can benefit my career, and this can benefit me personally and professionally, as opposed to, well, I've got an offer for 150 and an offer for 200. Which one should I take? And, you know, you want to be able to beat those situations, especially when you're a smaller company.
Absolutely. So implementing the systems, showing the potential hire that you're more prepared and you're got a system in there that may win them over the higher paying job in certain circumstances. So I think that's awesome. Nuggets there to take to the audience. Now, you wrote a book as well called Healing Career Wounds. So we'll jump into talking about that. And there it is, Healing Career Wounds. What inspired you to actually write that book?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't scale, and the biggest thing is like, I'm a big, like, I'm super passionate about building startups. I love seeing entrepreneurs succeed. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm really passionate about giving people the tools in which they can just plug into their business and be successful, especially when hiring is such an important key component of your organization, right? So I put it together as a fairly fast read, as a how-to guide that you can plug into your business and essentially run a whole hiring process from start to finish. I even include scripts in there of what to say. Scripts are designed based on like the wording that we use that is most effective in bringing somebody through a process. The idea is again to help companies to thrive. I mean, I want to see small businesses thrive as opposed to not.
Yeah, we always I think, and being in the business as long as we have, to see the growth, to see people have the success rates. I think that's really why a lot of us are still in business, because we get that joy of the process, watching them grow, watching them come from a small company to having their shit together and flourishing. Yeah. So I think that is super important. The hiring is I think overlooked many, many times. And I feel that anyone out there, any business owner, should definitely get Rick's book, jump on Amazon and grab it. We'll have the link in the description as well, so you can easily click there and take a look at that book and grab that for your own reading pleasure. Rick, anything else that you want to share with our team out there? Any other tidbits?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, the way in which us entrepreneurs operate is like, okay, I just need to get a bunch of things done. I need to get the business built. I need to focus on the product. I need to focus on the service. I need to focus on customer. But I would encourage anybody who's starting to even thinking about building a business to get your structure in place. There's a lot of companies that kind of reach out and they kind of start using like entrepreneurial operating systems like EOS or scaling up and how to systemize their company. Those are great tools to build accountability into the organization. And then, this just is another thing. It doesn't take that long to sit down and get it down on paper and then, make it an operational guide by which you run the business. Man, it makes your life so much easier when you have a system in place.
Yes, systems, automation, all the things that will help you keep your hair and keep it from turning gray, right?
Yeah, I probably would still have my hair if I got using those sooner.
Yeah, right. We learn from the mistakes, unfortunately, and I think that's why we do this show, right? To provide that education and information out there to the audience, so they don't make the same mistakes, and they put the systems in place to help ease their mind and really build a better company overall. How do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out? Do you have a website, email address you want to provide for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm best reached at rick@stridesearch.com. I get a lot of emails, so please be patient. It takes me a little while to get through it. You can also find me at stridesearch.com. That's our website. And or Hire Power Radio, and it's HIRE Power POWER Radio RADIO.com. It's all about hiring. That's all we talk about.
Love it, love it, love it, man. Well, I appreciate all the great nuggets that you provided us today, and thanks for being on our show.
Dude, Devin, thank you for having me, man. It's been great to meet you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So go ahead, get Rick's book, follow him, see what he's all about so he can help your hiring situations out in the future. And you can go ahead and find us on your favorite streaming platform. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe for more DMC Marketing Nuggets, and visit dmcmarketingnugget.com to view all of our past episodes. Here's to your success.